sales can dramatically improve your ROI. If you just think about it, marketing is a fixed cost, right? You're spending 10 grand a month, 20 grand a month, whatever your budget is, that's a fixed cost. Whether you're making money, not making money, that's a fixed cost. But sales, you can directly modify your revenue. There's a direct impact to how good you are at sales to your top line revenue. So if you spend 20 grand a month in marketing and you're able to get from conversions from 30,000 a month in sales to 60,000 a month in sales, if we can just double our revenue, right, from 30,000 to 60,000, what have we done? We've quadrupled our profits.
This is Eat, Sleep, Invest, the marketing podcast for real estate investors to get more deals. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Brian Driscoll, and I'm here with Steve Trang. What's going on, Steve?
Man, just another great day in paradise. It's Monday. I'm excited to hit the week hard.
I hear you. I'm excited to have you on, man. You got a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, got a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, it's the culmination, right, of 15 plus years in the business, and excited again, to see how we can leverage all our resources, relationships for this evolving market.
Yeah. Now, you're into a lot of things. Why don't you give everybody a little bit of background, the people that don't know who you are, like what all you do?
Sure. So, I mean, what people mostly know me for is the Real Estate Disruptors podcast, right? We have people come in from all over the country. We spend an hour and a half talking about their journey. So that's what most people know me for. On top of that, I also do sales training. So I have the great honor of training hundreds of people every single month on how to get better at sales. And I think, again, probably really important right now, given the massive delta between what the sellers think the market's worth and what our end buyers are willing to pay. Also have an education company in addition to the wholesaling company, right? Because we actively wholesale in Phoenix market. I jokingly say it's the most challenging market in the country. It's also the guru capital of the world. Also do traditional real estate, not me, but I got people within our organizations that do it. And then lastly, we got a title company. So those are all our active things. We got other things on the side as well, but those are our active things.
That's cool. So you're not messing around.
I mean, we were put here on the planet for a reason. I believe we were here to fulfill our potential, and we got to do everything we can every single day, eat and sleep to accomplish our full potential.
Yeah, I like it. So today, if it's cool, let's talk about some of the sales things,
Sure.
like with the struggles investors deal with. Because, we generate leads, and there's all kinds of leads. Like you can get SMS, mailers, digital. They're all the same type of things. Like, what are some things that you see people making mistakes in the front end of sales?
On the front end of sales, I think one of the things we do sometimes is we tend to try to educate our client, our prospect, right? And what happens sometimes when we're trying to educate somebody is nobody wants to be educated. They got a problem, they need it resolved. And we come in here, well, Brian, I know you want full market value, but let me tell you about the price. Let me tell you about the market. Let me tell you what buyers are paying. Let me tell you about, after commissions, repairs, holding costs, this and that. Seller doesn't give a rat's about any of that, right? They just don't. They got a problem they need solved, and for whatever reason, we feel like if we can just talk at them enough and just vomit all this information and education on them, they'll want to work with us, right? They're going to like us. They're going to trust us. And as a result, they're going to work with us, when the reality is they don't care what we know. They just want to know that we understand their problem, the emotions attached to it, whether they're losing sleep, fighting with their spouse, stressing out about whether their credit card's going to work, whether they're going to have a paycheck, right, in 2 weeks. And on top of that, what is going to look like should they work with you? And so if we can just kind of demonstrate, articulate back to them that we know what they're going through by asking questions, by the way, right? We have to spend a good amount of time asking the questions the right way. If we could really pull from them what they're going through and demonstrate that we know what they're going through by repeating it back to them, and then again, helping them understand what the ideal outcome is, at that point then we've actually earned the right to get their business, which is what selling really is. So I think, going back to your point, like what are people doing is a lot of educating, a lot of showing comps, a lot of like beating up the house and like explaining why we can't pay what they're looking to get. That does not help us build rapport, does not help us get the sale.
Yeah, and that's so true too. Just because we don't know why people, like I just picked up a property a little while ago. Mm-hmm. The guy's purpose was he bought a new house. He was stressed about coordinating closing dates and just had to do it seamlessly.
Yeah. Right.
And you just find out different things. You're right. You got to ask those questions, or I'd be telling him, hey, we can close in 7 days.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about who has to close in 2 months.
Yeah. What does that have to do with me?
Right. So you get a seller on the phone, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, my name's Brian. I'm with blah, blah, blah. What do you do then? Like, what are some of the initial questions you recommend people asking just to open that up for some people that don't know?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, sometimes we get these people that we market to, again, PPC, direct mail, motivated leads. When you first connect with them, you want to talk about how awesome you are again, right? We can close fast, this and that. And what we typically find on the phones is like, well, what's your offer? What are you going to pay me? Right? And sometimes we fall into the trap of answering that question. If you answer that question, that's it. It's over, right? They're not going to want to meet with you. Or at least 90+% of the time, they'll never want to meet with you, right? Because they got everything they feel like they've needed out of you. So really is like, hey, Brian, I'm just curious to see what compelled you to call. Why did you reach out to us? What are you hoping to accomplish, right? These are kind of questions we want to ask. But then on top of that, it's when they're asking what's your offer, it's like, look, Brian, I think that's kind of premature. At this exact moment, we're not sure we can even help you. But what we'd love to do is just sit down with you, understand your situation, and see if we are in a position where we can actually help you out of this potentially difficult situation. And again, what we're doing here is we want to not come across as a commodity because, a couple of different things, right? Because we put in our marketing material, we can close fast, we pay cash, this and that. And then when they reach out to us and they say, what's your offer? And we answer it, A, we've given away the farm because now they see no value in sitting down with us. But B, we haven't really, how do I put it? When we say that we can close fast in every scenario, they say, hey, Brian, can you close in 7 days? And we say, oh, of course we can close in 7 days. Subconsciously or subliminally, we've let them know that closing fast is not as valuable. And as a result, anybody can do it. And as a result, they should be able to shop 5, 10 different offers because everybody's the same, right? We didn't say it, but we've implied it. But we say, of course we can. But, we don't know if they've got title issues. We don't know how many times have we done a transaction in wholesale that has some title challenges, right? They might have some title issues. They might have a difficult spouse, sibling, whatever. There are all sorts of reasons. It could be that the mortgage company that they did a loan on 25 years ago is no longer in business, right? And so in all these scenarios, we don't know how fast we can close. So when they say, like, can you close in 7 days? Like, I'm not entirely sure, but what I'd like to do is just sit down with you, ask you enough questions, figure out whether there's a property that we can buy in 7 days or not. But what have we done? Again, we've implied that there's value here that we offer and that not everybody can do it. And now it's no longer a race to the bottom where we're all competing against each other on price.
Right. And that's important too. I see there's a couple of important things you said there. But with online leads especially, they're calling boom, boom, boom right down the list. Oh, yeah. If you're telling them price, you're done.
That's it. They put you down and now you're nothing but a number. That's all you are. And if you try to talk to them again, it's like, I already got your number. Like, why are we talking?
Right. And it's true too. Like, you go sit down with them, you meet them. Like, sometimes we've gotten deals and we were lower than their top bid price just because we met them. They feel comfortable with us. They think we're going to follow through. Same with you.
Yep.
So those things were so important with the sales process, is building that connection and finding out what their issues are.
Exactly. People want to be understood. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be appreciated, which it sounds so hokey pokey, right? It sounds so hippie, But the reality is, this great adventure, all of us as humans, like this is what we want in all circumstances, and we've got to embrace that.
Yeah. And that's so true on that side because everybody's different.
Yeah.
Like if you talk to someone like me, I'm trying to do something, I'm looking for quick and things like that. If you ask the right questions, we'll get there quickly. On the other hand, you talk with my wife, she wants totally different things. She wants that nurturing, things like that. So you got to find everyone that's listening, when you're talking with people, try to figure out what their problem is and how you can help them.
Exactly.
Like focus on that.
Exactly. I mean, just think about it, right? Like it sounds so obvious when you and I say this, but think about it. Like when we went to go buy our last significant purchase, whether it was with a home or a car or something else, did we go with a guy that just answered all our questions, right? Or did we go with a person that we felt like we had a professional bond with? Not like a personal bond, but a professional bond. Someone that it seemed like when they suggested this car or this home, they actually listened to us and figured out what we wanted versus just giving us the first product. The other example I always use in our sales training program is like, if you went to go see a doctor today for some back pain, and in the first 30 seconds, he's suggesting surgery, how are you feeling about that doctor? Not so good. But if he's asking your questions like, like how long's your back pain been going on? Do you know what caused it? When's the last time it hurt really bad? What have you tried to do to fix it? How's that going? How is it showing up elsewhere in your life? Now, when the doctor suggests an MRI, you're like, okay, this guy actually is concerned about my specific issue.
100%. And when people are looking for fast close, a lot of people can get properties under contract. A lot can't take it to close.
Exactly.
So you got to make people comfortable with you that you can actually do what you say you can do, and you're not going to call them at the last minute, renegotiate, or just bail on them.
Exactly right.
So we focus on sales. Like sales is an important part. Let's talk about that. How that comes into the ROI of your marketing campaigns.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's pretty simple, right? I mean, like the marketing is the most important thing in the very beginning, right? Because like if you can't market, it doesn't matter if you get all the money in the world. If no one knows you're buying houses, it doesn't even matter, right? If you can't get in front of a homeowner, it doesn't even matter. But now, after you get in front of them, sales is the next most important thing, because why should they go with you above anybody else? So how we increase our ROI, sales can dramatically improve your ROI. If you just think about it, marketing is a fixed cost, right? You're spending 10 grand a month, 20 grand a month, whatever your budget is, that's a fixed cost. Whether you're making money, not making money, that's a fixed cost. But sales, you can directly modify your revenue. There's a direct impact to how good you are at sales to your top line revenue. And your top line revenue goes right to your bottom line revenue. So if you spend 20 grand a month in marketing and you're able to get from conversions from 30,000 a month in sales to 60,000 a month in sales, we've only doubled, right? Between getting better at scheduling appointments, getting better at buying at deeper margins, and getting better at getting those deals across the finish line. If we can just double our revenue, right, from 30,000 to 60,000, what have we done? We've quadrupled our profits, right? Because we were saying in this instance, 20,000 in marketing costs, well, 30,000 in revenue, that's a $10,000 profit. But a $60,000 revenue a month, that's a $40,000 profit, right? So you can very quickly more than double your profits by just improving your sales. And I'm not saying this as some sort of like braggadocious thing. Like by increasing your top line number, your marketing is a fixed cost. Most of your expenses are fixed costs. Increasing revenue goes directly to the bottom line.
And that's huge too, because like I have a lot of people come to me and they're like, hey, let's scale. We need more sales, things like that. And then you look at their KPIs and they suck. So like, and I'll even take a step back. A lot of investors don't even know which KPIs to look at to know where their bottleneck or where their process needs fixed. Like on the sales side, which KPIs should they be looking at and be like, okay, if we're not in this specific percentage, like on an average, okay, we may need some help and figure something out here because there's a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, for us, the most important KPIs, and this is not a KPI that a lot of people are talking about often out there, but for us, the two most important KPIs are AFAs, which are actual first appointments, and then signed contracts, right? Like cost per lead is important, time to lead is important. Like all these other metrics are super, super important. I'm not going to discount any of those. Those are really critical to your operation. For me as a business owner, what I want to know is, are we getting actual first appointments? And when I say actual first appointments, the reason why we say this is because salespeople have this tendency to count follow-up appointments as appointments. They're not, right? So you have an actual opportunity to buy someone's house. How many of those are you getting per day, per week, and so on, right? We want to know how many. We also want to know how many you're holding, but that is, again, a variable of sales, right? How good are we on the phones to sell that appointment? So how many actual first appointments did we have? And then on top of that, how many signed contracts did we have? And that goes back to conversion, right? And so those are the two KPIs I look at as the most critical. Again, I'm not discounting other KPIs, you know, how many leads you're getting a day, cost per lead, and you know, cash conversion cycle, return on investment per lead source. I think all these things are critical. We look at all those as well. But day in, day out, the two metrics I care about the most are actual appointments where we had a chance to buy someone's house and signed contracts.
Yeah, and that's huge too. That's the same thing we look at. So people are looking at those. Say they have a problem with booked appointments. Mm-hmm. Do you recommend having a lead manager deal with the booking of appointments and then have a closer go out? Or what do you see on those sides? Say, I know some of the small guys have to do it all, but in a perfect world.
In a perfect world, right? Unlimited resources, right? You have a lead manager who is booking appointments for the sales guy to go, and the sales guy is doing nothing but closing appointments, right? In a perfect world. And I think that one of the things that happens a lot is the lead manager, from when I've seen a bunch of different organizations, is they treat them as appointment setters. These people set appointments or they book appointments. And I believe if that is your attitude, or at least maybe that's not your attitude, but if that is the lead manager on your team's attitude, you're leaving money on the table, okay? And the reason why I say this is that lead manager is 100% a sales job. How do we know it's a sales job? Because we get objections, right? Then we talk to my wife. I'm not sure. I'm busy, right? Now's not a good time. Call me back later. These are objections. And if you can't overcome these objections, then you are an order taker. And order takers have their places, right? Just not in your specific organization.
Right. That brings up something really important too, because that first touch is so important in the process.
Oh, it's so critical. It's so critical, yeah.
Yeah, because I talk to a lot of investors, and a lot of investors are like, you know what, I hired someone for $3 an hour and they just call my appointments. Versus you get someone calling you and they don't speak proper English, things like that. Like, you could lose the whole deal right there just because of that comfort level again.
Yeah, you know, there are some people that have figured it out. There are people that have figured out how to have a overseas lead manager run their organization and do it for profits. Okay, there are case studies and this and that, right? I have friends that have done this. Here's what I also know: they are the exception and not the rule. Okay, are there people that have done it? Are there people that have figured it out? 100%. I think in the long term, for most organizations, it's a very short-sighted decision. Because what's the point in spending tens of thousands of dollars on marketing every single month, only to have the first impression raise all sorts of sales resistance, raising their guard, and, you know, what was it? We call it sales prevention, right? What's the point of offering all this sales prevention to a prospect who was interested, who saw your marketing, right? I mean, you're spending... You know, if you're sending out 10,000 plus mailers a week, a month, whatever, that first touch is going to set all sorts of first impressions for your company, and you may never get them back on the phone, right? Like, we know if someone calls in, we know that there's a 15% chance that you'll never talk to them again. Never, no matter how good your follow-up is, right? Like, in a perfect scenario, where you've got people in an organization that's calling them 13, 14 times, sending text messages and this and that. We're going to get a hold of them 85% of the time. So on that first touch, if you screw that up, you just thrown out 15% of your opportunities, never to hear from this person again.
Yeah, and that's huge. It's so much money in marketing, and that's a huge bottleneck. So if anyone's doing that, look, it comes down to KPIs again.
Mm-hmm.
Comes down to, okay, look at how many leads are you getting? How many appointments are coming from that?
Right.
What number? I guess it's tough to say too, with so many different marketing channels. Because I was gonna say, I know a lot of times we'll see like 40%, 50% appointment book rate on hot leads, but I guess if you're doing SMS and things like that, it might be lower too.
Significantly.
Tough to say, yeah. Hey, how'd you get into all of this stuff?
Which part?
Like, what made you get into the sales and the sales training? Like, how'd that happen?
So I'm gonna say what you hear every other guru say. Like, I didn't want to do this, but it was, people asked me to do it. But it's the truth, So I had Max Maxwell come on my podcast in the end of 2018. It was like August or September. He's like, hey, I'm throwing an event, We Live 19, in March of 2019. Would you be interested in speaking there? It's like, sure. I mean, what bad things can happen from speaking on stage with Max Maxwell, right? It's like, yeah, definitely, I'm all in, right? And so I'm thinking, what is the most valuable thing that I can do to speak, in front of 1,000 people? And I thought, well, we could talk about our sales process that we've created in the Phoenix market. And so I do, right? So this is March of 2019. And the feedback we got from We Live 19 was overwhelming. We had so many people say, wow, you've completely changed the way I look at sales. I never understood that there's actually a sales process behind it. And then in the subsequent months, oh, by the way, everyone's asking, like, can you mentor me, right? There's that. And in the subsequent months, I had people posting and tagging on social media, like, here's what I said that I picked up from Steve Trang at We Live 19, right? So, like, they're having success, and they're attributing that success to what they learned from me on stage. And so as people were asking me to do it, I was like, yeah, definitely. I mean, it doesn't make sense not to do this. So I got into it not by design, but because I in sharing what's worked for us, people have found it to be helpful for them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah,
being able to take that and pivot and do it. You know what I mean?
Just to clarify, right? The reason why I feel so qualified to talk about sales is because of how much I sucked at sales, right? So, like, I had to work on my game more than anyone else, right? Like, you got to recall, we haven't really touched on this today, but I'm a former engineer. I am the antithesis of sales, right? And so what I had to do was reverse engineer everything about sales. So I feel qualified about it because if you look at most people that are naturally good at sales, they don't know why they're good. They're just good. All right. I had to study what made them good so I can apply it in my business.
So you're an engineer, like engineer thinking.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I have a master's degree in electrical engineering, right? I mean, went to UC San Diego.
Okay.
Did the whole Intel thing for some time.
That's a whole different, you're right. That's a whole different, it's like CPA thinking, engineers, throwing numbers, everything has to be logistical, things like that. So
yeah,
with that something up then too. So anybody who if people have salespeople in an organization that might suck, they're trainable.
There's hope.
Right. Yeah, like people can learn, people can adapt, even if you don't have that gab nature.
Yeah. Well, and what's really cool is that, Gary Harper is a good friend of mine. We were actually texting yesterday. What he said to me in private, it's the first time I think I'm saying this in public. He said, like, it's really cool that I was able to create this curriculum because now he can send people that aren't good at sales naturally and have them be good salespeople, right? Like, what a compliment.
I saw on your website the Zig Ziglar quote. I like that because your goal with Real Estate Disruptors, right, is to create 100 million, like 100 million in.
Yep.
Not, is it 100 millionaires or people that are $100 million net worth?
I think that we're going to create a couple of those, but we'll create 100 people with a net worth of $1 million. And, probably we hit that goal. We just have not been able to verify it. Verified, we're in double digits, low double digits, verified. And when I say verified, like, they're actually sending me bank statements. But I'm pretty sure with all the messages I received throughout the years that we're at that point, especially if you consider how much the market's appreciated, you know, the last few years. But who knows, after this correction, some of us may no longer be millionaires as well. But yeah, that quote I read a long time ago, and it really spoke to me. I mean, Zig Ziglar, what incredible inspiration.
Yeah, if anyone has it, his quote is, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough people get what they want.
Exactly right. Super simple. And it's true. We've come to if there's any question about it, you know, I can say for sure on my end, it's 100% true.
Yeah. I remember hearing that quote like 12 years ago. I was cutting the grass with the audio on, like listening to Audible. Mm-hmm. It's Zig Ziglar. If anyone hasn't listened to his audio stuff, he's awesome.
Yeah. You will get fired up and conquer the world after listening to Zig Ziglar.
Yeah, but I do like, because that it says a little bit about you, why you're doing what you're doing.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. All right, cool. Hey, let's see here. I think that's about all we had. Like, is there anything else that you think we should touch on?
You know, we're talking about sales. I think one of the things that in this shifting market, I think, you know, if you're going to go out there and offer just to pay cash, you're going to have some challenges, right? So I think, you know, just something that we have adjusted our business model. And thank goodness we did. Otherwise, we might not still be here after what happened in the Phoenix market in 2022. So I think the first thing you got to look at is when you go out there, you got to make cash offers, right? Like that's first and foremost. If you're not making cash offers, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble, right? I mean, why are you in business? But then after cash offer, we present a wholesale offer, right? There's an options contract, and then we present a novations offer, right? We don't call it novations. If you guys want to know more about that, you know, send me a DM. But you know, we offer novations, and then after that, we offer creative. And if none of those four work, then we refer it, right, to a realtor. Whereas what I used to do a few years ago, or a couple years ago really, was cash or realtor, right? And that works, but the realtor side does not pay you nearly as well as the novation or the creative.
Now, how are you positioning that sale? Are you giving them all the options? It's like, hey, we can give you a cash offer, or...
No. So basically what it sounds like is, hey, Brian, you know, we're going to negotiate without me ever making an offer. That's kind of how this goes, right? Hey, you know, Brian, cash buyers, their buyer paying between X and Y. What did one of them offer you that? I was like, that's insulting. Yeah, I thought that was really low too, right? So that's kind of our first step with the cash offer. So we're going to find out, hey, you know, given our conversation right now, it sounds like how much you need. I can't give you a cash offer that hits that. If you need cash, I can't pay that. So, you know, if you're open to, you know, some time and some access, perhaps, you know, there's another program we offer, you know, that helps you protect your equity, and we can still get you out of here, you know, in the next 3 to 4 months, right? And that's when we'd be pitching to innovations. Or, you know, if it sounds like they need, and all this comes down to how much they need, right? We'll make an offer based on how much they need. And if it's no, I need full market value. Hey, Brian, you know, I'm happy to give you that value. You know, if that's how much you need, I think that's something we may be able to potentially make work. I guess my question for you is, how much cash do you need today? I mean, what do you mean? It's like, well, the amount I can pay you is entirely dependent on how much cash you need today. If you don't need all that cash today, we can give you that amount, right? And then we're going to pivot to creative option. And then ultimately at the end, it's like, okay, no, I need all this cash. I said, all right, great. Brian, you know, I don't suppose you got a realtor that you're absolutely in love with. Like, well, I don't know that love with. Okay, well, you know, I've got a realtor that actually specializes in this particular area. I don't know. Would it make sense for me to have him give you a call? Right? So that is the evolution of
smooth.
All the different steps. Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah. Yes. Now, okay, so say someone's listening here and they have a sales problem. Who's your avatar? Like, what people are best fit for your sales program and mentoring?
The people that are best fit are people that are actually doing deals right now. You know, I learned some time ago, taking someone that's never done a deal before, it's actually pretty hard because there's a lot of additional mental baggage that we all have. I had it too when I first started, right? The first 3 years, I was not coachable. So like everyone's got some sort of, you know, challenges. But if anyone's doing deals consistently, then there's no way we can't instantly increase their top line and bottom line revenue. So I would say anyone that's actually meeting homeowners, and isn't closing at least 40% of their contracts would be someone that would be a good candidate for us.
Okay, how's that look? Like, say someone wants help. Like, how's it look?
The best way is to reach out to us, at steve.trang, or if you go to disruptors.com. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Go to millionaireadvocate.com. Millionaire Advocate, I'm butchering that as well. Millionairesupport.com. I'm sorry. Millionairesupport.com. You can talk to someone on my team, and they can, based off the questions and answers you guys have, can suggest one program or another and how we can support you. So millionairesupport.com is the best place to go.
Okay, millionairesupport.com, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. What kind of options do you have?
So we have a course, right? This is just self-paced. You just watch it. It's 12 modules. So there's a self-paced learning. There's a live event, 2 full days in my office. We're going to go into all the content. The content is pretty much the same. It's really the delivery. There's something that happens when you're live in front of another person surrounded by peers where you absorb it at a deeper level. And we get to do role play because it is face-to-face. And then we also offer weekly training where we'll work with you and your entire team for 12 months, right? And those, what you get from those is not only do we get to talk about the material, but we get to break down your objections, right? Like, what is the seller telling you today that you're having a hard time with? And because it's more or less a sales mastermind, we get to share best practices that are working right now, January 2023. Because was there a slight shift last year, right? We had to all mastermind together on how to best say the framework that we have, but in a manner that's consistent with the shifting environment. So 12 months of working with us, and we get to handle your objections as well.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And you're right. Different. I mean, like me, if I need to learn something, you got to plop me in a seat in a live thing because my brain goes all over the place. But each person learns differently.
Absolutely. So why we do it different. That's why we offer different ways to pick up the material.
Hey, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book, I would say right now, it's Rigging the Game. It's not a real estate book. It's about how to prevent all the stupid things I've done in my career. Jason Medley, right? CG is how we got connected. Right. We'll get you here, we'll get you there. All those things that make us great entrepreneurs, right? The quick start, the fast action taking, the willingness to take risks are the same reasons why we can't get to where we want to go, because we're willing to move fast and take risks, when reality is we need to get better at what we're good at, not do more. But it's easy to kind of chase more. So Rigging the Game. Did you get a chance to watch me speak the Best of the Bell presentation?
I did. It was awesome.
Thank you. So that is straight out of that book, Rigging the Game.
Okay. Yeah, you did a really good job in that presentation too. I'm like, boy, you must speak in public, because speaking in public's hard.
Speaking in public is hard, but you do it enough times. It becomes a muscle just like anything else.
Yeah, I did a Dale Carnegie course for public speaking. Same thing. Like your hands. They say I talk too fast. They're like, use your hands and talk slower. Yeah. Like there's so much that goes into that, and that's one thing I noticed up there, dude. You're like, it was really fluid and it was good.
Yeah, the thing that really helped me, what really changed, was when I started having a conversation with the audience versus talking at the audience. Right? Actually, mentally picturing like I'm actually talking with you, not at you.
Yeah, that's a good tip there. Yeah, because anyone listening, but get out there and speak. Like the more you speak, the better you're going to get. But it's hard in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we live 19, right? 1,000 people. The only time I was more nervous was the day of my wedding. So yeah, we've come a bit of a ways since then.
There you go. Hey, Steve, if everyone wants to check out the podcast, what's the best way to check you out there?
So the best way is on YouTube, Real Estate Disruptors. We're also on iTunes and Spotify. So Real Estate Disruptors, you can find us in all three channels there.
Hey, cool, man. Hey, well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate it.
And good stuff. And hey, everyone, thanks for listening. Get out there, crush it, close some deals. See you next time.